Big weekend for my guy Trent Bray.
Massive
Weekend for Trent Bray down in Corvallis this weekend.
It is, man. Big recruiting weekend. You're hosting a Power 4 school. And I have always viewed this game. I think I remember saying this in July and August or doing season previews and all that.
You did say this. I noted it on my show sheet.
I know that it was, Tyler tried to save the audio and send it to me last week. A little premature on that one, but I didn't think you had a chance of beating Oregon in week 3. And this to me was, I liked your chances to go 2-0. The early schedule was not tough. I thought you were going to lose to Oregon. This to me is the swing game of your season. If you beat, not that Purdue's a world breaker, but there are some mindfalls there the rest of the season. If you can beat Purdue, the next 2 games are winnable. You're looking at a very realistic chance of being 5-1 at the halfway point with a young team that's gelling and developing and figuring out how to play. So many new faces.
Yeah.
So I think you like your chances to get better late in the year. This is the one that's a swing one for me. If you can't beat Purdue at home, I'm not sure how I feel about you against UNLV, against Cal, against Boise, against Washington State. Could be a long year. You win this one, I think the sky's the limit on where you can go.
Well, what I would say to that, too, is Purdue, who we said yesterday, they're one of the weirder teams to figure out in college football. They've played just 2 games, and they've beaten Indiana State in blowout fashion, and they've gotten their teeth kicked in by Notre Dame.
Yep.
How you conclude what they are, I don't know, other than you're either diehard Beaver fan and you're just telling yourself they're dog crap, or you actually have a really good feel from what you've seen if you've seen Purdue play. I honestly have not. I didn't watch a second of that Notre Dame game. I saw the score and I went, nope.
I'll tell you what Notre Dame did. They ran the ball, and then they ran the ball again, and then they ran the ball again, and then they ran the ball again.
I know that from looking at the box score. I did not watch a second. I know they have Hudson Card. Okay. But Purdue coming in, I think you're right on. It is a turning point because if you don't win the game, you're going to have a lot of questions. I still think you can win, though, and have all those teams you just named in front of you and say, not sure yet.
It's not a certainty, for sure.
Like you can win this game. And I put a poll question up last night just out of curiosity where some people were at feeling it of just what is the Oregon State expectation for Purdue? Because if you would have asked me this 2 weeks ago, I'd probably be like, oh, blow them out. Just Purdue sucks. And that might be what happens. Be blowout, win by 7-10, cover the spread, which is 4, or just win. Overwhelming, just win.
Yeah.
Beaver fans not dabbling with any number stuff. They're just win the football game, beat a Big Ten team, and move on with your season while still acknowledging UNLV looks good so far. Washington State, we know, and they have an interesting game tonight. We know that they have Boise State at Boise State, and Cal, the woke agenda's out here undefeated, might be 4-0 after beating Florida State this weekend.
They should be.
There's still games in front of you that make you kind of scratch your head and wonder, can the Beavs win it? But I think you're right. This feels like, in a weird way, a very huge point of their season. Only, this is game 4? This is a massive moment for Trent Bray. How does your team respond after getting embarrassed at home? How does your team respond against a team that so far their sample size says what you do well is a bad thing for that other team?
Yes.
How you respond at home. The fans are showing up. They're doing a stripe out thing in Corvallis. I think it's huge. I also am kind of curious. It's a Sprague Line Friday, so this is usually when we bring up gambling stuff with games. It's interesting that line has dropped from 6.5 to 4.
I don't know what to make of that. If
I don't
that's
either.
Just simply Big Ten versus no longer Power 4 conference team, because there's nothing that Purdue showed last. I watched that game. I went back and watched it this week. There is nothing that you would take away from that would say, you know what I want to do next week? I want to gamble on Purdue. That was 42-0 at the half, man. They didn't have a hope and a prayer in that game, and Notre Dame lost a starting offensive lineman early, and Riley Leonard has struggled to throw the football early in the season. So it's funny that I use all of those, and Notre Dame is, without question, a better team than Oregon State. I'm not trying to compare the two, but it is funny, the comparisons. What does Oregon State struggle to do? Throw the ball. What did Notre Dame struggle to do? Throw the ball. Where does Oregon State have injuries piling up? Offensive line. Where did Notre Dame have injuries piling up? Offensive line. What's Notre Dame's strength on offense? Running the ball. What's Oregon State's strength on offense?
Everything
running
is
the ball.
lining up for them.
All these things, and you're not going to win the game. What was the final? 66-7? That's not going to happen. It's not going to be 42-0 at the half because you don't have the defense that Notre Dame had, and they're going to be able to move it a little bit on you. I think sometimes these games boil down to simply matchups, and can your matchup strength advantage win against theirs? And if you could run the football, I love your chances to win this game. 2 weeks ago, we just did this at Washington State. Let's not sit here and act like Texas Tech is some world beater. Texas Tech's not a very good football team this year. They're terrible away from home. Washington State was a +3, I believe, in the turnover margin. They had a huge second quarter. Outside of that, didn't really do a lot, and they won the game by 20 points. But it doesn't matter if it's a good or bad team. That was a statement win for them, and it was a major confidence booster to say we beat a team from a conference that we should be in. We should be in the Big 12, and we beat them by 20 points on our own field.
Yeah.
And I think now you're going to get Oregon State's best shot because it's the same thing. Whether Purdue is this juggernaut, it does not matter. I think the symbolism is what matters. This is a team that's from the Big Ten coming to your house.
That's how I view it, too.
It's a team, it's a conference that took the in-state rival and it ripped your conference apart, taking USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington. And so it's an opportunity for you to say, you know what, double birds to you, dude. We can still play football out here. You're not going to travel well with your fan base because you shouldn't. I don't know why they would want to come to Corvallis. That team's not very good.
Oh, there's always a couple Purdue Boilermakers amongst us.
Gold shirt here or there, but like, come on,
Maybe
man.
I bet you there's
They're
more
not coming out to Corvallis.
I bet you there's like 70 to 100 people that show up for this in the black and gold.
Like
Is the
4
band
rows.
coming? Or are they bringing that ginormous drum?
That stupid drum and their train sound.
I mean, they've got Big Ten money. They could afford to bring the band if they wanted
they can
to.
boiler up.
Yeah, boiler up.
The
if you
meanest
want.
thing we do is we make the band go to the top left corner of
should.
stadiums.
You
right?
should. That's the best thing about
You
college
should be
football.
lucky
You
you're
walk your
allowed
ass
in the
up with your
building.
tuba to the top row of this stadium, bitch. That's the way it's going to work. I just think it's the symbolism, and that's why you're going to get a good effort from Oregon State.
Swag, how would you answer that poll question? Expectation. What do you expect from Oregon State? Now, I just want to say this very quickly. You lose. Woo, Monday is going to be a difficult thing
Monday's
to
a
hear.
doozy. If that 7-10. I think I said yesterday 31-21 is where I'm
So
seeing
right in that
this
7
game.
to 10 split. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's about the expectation then.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I'm at too.
I mean,
'cause
you
you
cover-
cover the
I think,
number, but
yeah, I think they'll, they do the one thing they do. Purdue obviously had difficulty dealing with, and so if they can, one, they got to hold on to the football. So you can't turn it over, period, because they're not equipped enough to overcome those, especially if they give Purdue a short field. So, but if they make Purdue to have to drive the length of the field to score, I think Oregon State eventually will wear them down with their running game.
I think it's such a moment for Bray to say, guys, here's the tape, but don't look at this tape and say we're winning 66-7 as well.
No.
You can
No,
just
I think I think you break it down. I think you get very clinical of specific plays that Notre Dame, how they do their running game
Sure.
that is similar to what you're doing. It's like, okay, this is how we have to attack this, and you pay attention to the details, and you don't look at the big picture of
just go play your game.
Yeah.
Just go play your game. The positives you highlighted, Dirt, on Monday, Tuesday from the Civil War game, I didn't feel as positive because, well, the outcome is the outcome, as Lanning would say.
Yeah, final score is final score.
But you take those positives and you say, you know what? Now take that anger and frustration you felt from what that outcome was and apply it to a Purdue team this weekend that kind of falls right in line with what we do well against our opponents.
And then can Ryan Gunderson in his play calling look at, the passing plays where Giovanni McCoy is having success, kind of that short, more West Coast offense, quick slants, quick hooks, flood 3 receivers on one side in a little route, and he can pick out very quickly. So the minute he hits that back foot on a 5, or whatever he's doing, that ball's coming out. On those sorts of plays, he's really effective.
He was.
If he's trying to hang out and they're trying to get routes down or crossing routes or stuff is where he gets a little sketchy.
Especially with the injuries up front. You just don't know how your offensive line's going to hold
Well,
up
I don't know about
2
Purdue's
guys down.
defensive pass rush either. That's
Neither
not
do
going
I.
to be Oregon. So.
No, it's not. And they gave up 66 points to Notre Dame, who is offensively challenged. The zone read for Notre Dame ate them alive.
Yeah.
The quarterback run game ate them alive. Riley Leonard had a big day on the ground. I would say, too, they're probably not going to do this. If I were in that coaching room, I would look at the series we're giving Jabari Johnson and seriously question it. That was a disaster last weekend.
Can they move
counter
that to the
that?
second quarter?
Can
Do
I
that in
counter
the
that?
second quarter?
Sure.
Or this is not Oregon. I think that would be the argument of like, we might not be up 21-0 when he comes in.
Because it's the third series of the game, I think,
It's
right?
usually
that they're
the
giving
third.
Him? Yeah.
I think they did that with Aiden. It was the second or third last year with Aiden. So Bray clearly was in on that idea of it. But if it's 7-0, And so far, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It does. There's a momentum thing. There's a rhythm thing that it kind of takes away.
They moved the ball in their first 2 drives, and they brought him in, and it was fumbled snap, drop snap, incomplete pass, punt.
It wasn't
It
good.
just was like,
It was not good.
That's a bad moment. And again, to your point, maybe it's a different defense, and he's going to be better to execute it. And as we've highlighted, Purdue has had a hard time with running quarterbacks, so maybe it's just him running around and making plays, and you score on that drive. You very well could. That to me was a bit of a red flag of, I understand why you're doing it. He's a highly touted kid. You don't want him to hit the transfer portal. You want to give him the time and say, hey, look, we're building this towards being your program. But at some point, if it is detrimental to your team, you do have to look in the mirror. So maybe this weekend isn't the time to do it, but if they look good offensively, their first 2 drives again this weekend, they bring him in drive 3, and it's a disaster.
I think
you got to pull the plug on that.
I think it gives the opposing defense an opportunity, a break, because you become much more one-dimensional.
You know he's coming in to largely run the football.
Until they develop the package where there's a true threat of him passing in some capacity, I think you give the defense a series off.
Is this Clemens kid going to play?
He's supposed to this weekend, I believe.
I feel like I've been hearing that for a month.
Yeah.
I'm kind of to a point where I'm like, I'm going to believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great for your offense, and I don't know if it's a quarterback issue, an offensive line issue, or just a simply weapons issue, to have somebody who could be a game changer on the outside down the field. Like Trent Walker's a good wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's more, it seems like bubble screen, slants.
He's a
catch
possession
quick hit.
guy,
possession
right?
guy.
And
When I need to make third down and
Clemens is your big
6,
play
I'm
guy.
looking
Right.
for him.
Yeah.
So having a guy like that on the outside, if he can be that, would be massive for them. And I think it's important for them too, like whether it's working or not.
Yeah.
How many times, I'm trying to think, I can't remember off the top of my head, how many times did they even try to throw the ball downfield against Oregon?
Down, like really
Like
down
more
the
than
field?
20 yards down the field. How many
Not
attempts?
until late
couple.
when they were trying
Sure,
to
maybe at the end of the
make
game. Like,
yeah.
there's something there where you got to keep a team honest, and just whether you're completing it or not, just like the safety's got to think about something, and it can't just be downhill run attack the entire game.
You can vote. What are your expectations for Oregon State against Purdue at Dirt and Sprague? There are 4 options up there. Just win. Beavs covering the spread, which is 4. Win by 7 to 10, or a Beef blowout. You can vote at Dirt and Sprague on that one.